Okay, so my first question is, how would you define public relations?
Public relations is the practice of managing and spreading information between an individual or an organization, such as a business or an agency, and just trying to get the word out. And it's basically a form of marketing. It's spreading the information that the client may want you to expose about their company. And I use the term expose because usually you would need that information to get, they're trying to market a product or an individual or, whatever they're trying to market, you're trying to bring it to light to the general public. So, make a long answer short, that's basically what it is.
Okay, great. What has been your personal career path?
My personal career path was a little bit out of the ordinary compared to a lot of the general public relation experts or marketing and promotional experts. Mine was a little bit more of who do you know, and that's how I got there. So I started out as a lifeguard at Winchester Country Club here in Winchester, Massachusetts, and I was 17 years old, overlooking a pool of little kids jumping off a diving board and making a mess and whatnot. And I actually got to know a lot of the members of the club just by, talking to the parents and hanging out and playing with the kids. And that summer, I got to know a lot of these individuals. And they're wealthy tastemakers, managers, owners of businesses, etc. Those are generally the overview of the members. And one of the members there one day, his name was Paul Haley, and he actually worked the radio, and he asked me, hey, what do you want to do when it's all said and done? And I mentioned I wanted to be in radio, marketing, and PR, and that's exactly what he was into, and he had a job doing that, and he said, wow, that's what I do. And, it was funny that our paths crossed because he introduced me to some individuals at a local radio station, WFNX, based out of Lynn, Massachusetts. Next thing you know, I'm doing an unpaid, unaccredited internship. I forego my first year, my freshman year of college at Roanoke University. My parents are not happy. I jump right into the radio, music industry, and it just kind of sailed on from there. From the privately owned WFNX in Lynn, Massachusetts, I moved on to Infinity Broadcasting, WBCN, which is 104.1, a pretty iconic rock radio station. Since then, WBCN has been flipped to 98.5, the Sports Hub. So now I work at two CBS radio stations, 98.5, the Sports Hub, and 100.7 WZLX, which is a classic rock station. And I manage the public relations, the marketing affairs, and all the sales-driven events that go through the radio station.
Okay, great. Do you see a difference between public relations and marketing?
Yeah, public relations is it stands on a level because I believe that in my point of view, which is very guerrilla and very underground, my point of view is that public relations is the relationship between the business or the corporation and the general public. So public relations, especially, I'm going to use Boston as an example because I'm so ingrained in this market, is you're trying to get the word out to print media, radio medium, TV, blogs, any sort of online marketing program, and that includes social media. So that is the relationship between the corporation and the general public. And I think public relations is very important because if you're a business that obviously is a retail or you're trying to push an item or you're trying to sell something online, regardless if it's a storefront or if it's on your desktop, I still think you need to manage your general overview and your perception in the public. And that's what I think public relations is.
Okay.
It's that general. And then the marketing aspect could be anything from street marketing, which is guerrilla marketing, to online marketing, to, marketing is just, getting the word out. But PR is managing your relationships between the press and the mediums that are available to you in each market.
Okay. So what is your daily life at work?
My daily life at my job here at CBS Radio is managing the brands that come through the radio station formula. So let's say they come down the pipeline. It's a client. Let's say it's, I'm just going to throw one out there. Let's say it's a grocery store, a
Okay.
privately owned grocery store. It's not a major corporation. It's a family-operated grocery store. They are a client of one of my radio stations. I have to come up with a marketing program for them, not only for on the radio side of things, but how can we bring them, externalize them beyond the radio, and then try to get the absolute biggest budget from that client, and then execute that marketing budget for them after
Okay.
they make the deal, the sales deal. So I work a lot with the sales team who executes the sales deal. Once the deal is done, we need to execute. But before that, we need to present them with a game plan, and if they invest in that game plan, then we execute it.
Great. So how do you measure if your like specific public relations tactics are working? Like if the promos and everything are going well, how do you know that?
Well, that's one of the drawbacks of some workplaces is that my workplace here at CBS Radio, which I love, it's close like my family, that's how close it is. They do not offer a lot of analytical platforms,
Mhm.
which I wish I could turn into hard numbers and be able to process them and look at them and say, this would be, this was a successful campaign here at WZLX because of this. But I do not have a whole lot of analytics to work with in terms of platforms, programs here at CBS Radio. So basically, I use a lot of the feedback from the client. And, did you see sales develop? Did you move that product? Did you see foot traffic in your store? Did you see, did you get any feedback verbally or otherwise from consumers? And that's a little bit of what I get out of it. So if the client is happy and they're seeing some of that feedback, that's a little bit of the analytics that I get back. One thing we do use at the radio station, we have ratings that's provided by Nielsen, which is a rating system.
Yeah, we learned about that in one of my classes.
Okay, yeah. So Nielsen provides me with ratings, so I'm able to provide those analytics to the client, saying, "Hey, look at these numbers. This is your audience. This is your audience age group. This is what our audience is consuming, and this lines up to your demographic and your consumer. So it's a perfect fit." So we do have those analytics to present to the client. I just wish I had more campaign feedback.
Okay, so my last question is going to be, if someone said that a public relations department is unnecessary and it's a waste of money, how would you convince them otherwise?
I think that every business needs a public relations department, and the reasoning why is, you don't want to be a rogue. You don't want to be. I mean, you have to get your word. It's part of the everyday function, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a part of your human resources. It's a part of your distribution center. It's a part of your management team. It's another arm that I believe is mandatory due to the fact that if you're sitting back and you're not evolving, or if you're not getting involved, you're going to get shut down and you're going to get jumped over because you are not moving forward. You are not marketing yourself. You are not putting yourself in the forefront of the consumer. You are not staying top of mind for your consumer. And I think when you're not doing that, you're just putting yourself to waste. And what's the point? You need to be able to stay in front of the game, especially if your competition's doing it. Now, if everybody wants to sit back and ignore the marketing or public relations aspect, fine, but I doubt your competition is going to be doing that, or your other competition, or your A, B, and C. So as far as I'm concerned, it's mandatory, and it's part of your image, and if you don't have an image, you don't have a product to the consumer.
Okay, thanks. That's all I need.
Did I sound all right?
Yeah, that was perfect.